go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Bullseye!
Just need to get it in here. Boy, Conley's wide open. And Randall fires it off of
That was
Turner.
way more eventful than it needed to be.
He hit it off Turner. It went out of bounds. The clock expired. And the Timberwolves win it 103-100. They've snapped a 3-game losing streak to the Bucks.
That is Alan Horton calling the end of a Minnesota Timberwolves victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. And welcome to 9 to Noon. It's Paul Allen, Nordo by my side. And Brett Blakemore guides the Great Ship Love Covenant from FM 100.3 KFAN. We are very happy to be joined by Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm fine, PA. Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Pretty well, thank you. Knicks at Target Center tonight. They've won 8 of 9. You guys have won 8 of 10. Should be a humdinger tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. One of the top teams in the league. Coming off their cup victory the other day, playing with a ton of momentum, really a hard team to guard.
Yeah, they're going to sit Jalen Brunson this evening with ankle management. How do you think that changes the game?
Well, I mean, of course, he's such a phenomenal player, and he's been such an excellent closer for them. Really, really great in the closing minutes of games. Certainly their engine, but they're 12-7 without him in the last 2 years. That's a pretty good percentage of wins there, and they got a lot of talented players. We know Cat's still a threat. They play with great connectivity on offense, play fast, really share the ball well, beat you up on the offensive glass. Pretty good defensively too. So they're a complete team. They're not just relying on one guy.
Probably, before picks and switches and everything. Probably a good test for Anthony Edwards tonight with OG Anunoby, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's always a lot of attention put on Ant. They'll crowd him for sure. They'll send multiple bodies at him. They got a lot of guys that can guard him, got guys who like to guard. So they got a lot of two-way players on their roster with Bridges and Hart. So they'll definitely they'll try to make life as difficult as possible.
Did you happen to see Adelman Saturday night? He got mad Saturday night like you did Friday night.
Yeah, no, I just saw a little clip of I guess his first technical, but I did not watch the game and didn't really see the ejection part.
What just like overall, what are you and other coaches seeking from officials? Does it come down to more consistency?
Well, I think that's what everyone's going to say. That's what the league will say. That's what the officials will say. We're all striving for some level of consistency, but I think there's more to it than that. I think for me, it's about we got to do a better job of getting the basics right. We got to get the obvious ones. I think we've overcomplicated the way we look at the game sometimes from a refereeing or officiating perspective. We've all been around the league. We know what a foul is. We know what a foul baiting looks like too. So, and these gray areas, there's going to be a ton of subjectivity. I think we're all fine with that as long as that subjectivity is kind of evened out. At a level of the level that we're playing at, we know there's going to be some night-to-night differences, but there can't be such drastic night-to-night differences. There's got to be a standard of play that we're trying to achieve every single night.
Friday night, when you were walking away by the bench, did somebody yell something at you? Because I know the officials, they'll bark back and they have opinions. Did somebody yell something at you?
You mean like a fan? or a referee?
Well, no, like one of the refs, because you were walking away and then you just like turned around and then it was on.
Oh, you talking about? No, it's actually So generally, like when you have, I definitely wanted the first technical PA. Like that was something I wanted. I wanted to send a message. I wanted to be heard. And then, generally you don't get two technicals for one incident. That's kind of the unwritten rule. So I got a second technical, and then that's really what annoyed me more than anything else, is to get the second technical for basically the one outburst. One outburst, two technicals, generally not how it goes.
I know you were fined, but did you get a chance to discuss matters with anybody from the league, after this took place on Friday?
Well, in any disciplinary process, the league has a protocol that they go through. They have a league investigator call you, go through the timeline of events, things that were done or said. It's very much a he said, she said process. You don't really have much of a appeal process in it. I spoke to the league after the fine was issued. Talked to them. I thought, I tried to figure out how they got to that number, that level of fine. So there's an open dialogue, but the reality is the league is, judge and jury in these situations. So
and the fine was $35,000. I mean, that's more than a little walking around money. Did you expect it to be more?
Yeah, it's a Toyota Prius.
Did you expect it to be more though?
No, I mean, precedent was is general. It was. I expected it to be a little less, PA. To be honest.
Okay.
With you.
Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. Meanwhile, from that victory Friday night against Oklahoma City, seriously, man, good work by your staff. Because we're 6 minutes into the game, we lose the head coach.
Yeah. And
OKC's on the other side of the gym. What are some things they did that you liked over the course of 3.5 quarters?
Well, I got a great staff that, led by Micah, who's very comfortable taking over in those situations. And what they did is they just kept pushing the guys to stay aggressive, and we were, rewarded with, a better whistle and get to the free throw line. And, I thought they did a really good job of executing the game plan, staying on point there, managing the rotations, kind of according to who OKC had on the floor. We did a good job of matching some of their rotations. So, I've never had much of a worry, and I don't try to micromanage those situations, whether it had been the only other previous time I've been ejected or when I had the knee injury and I was a little bit removed from the action. I trust those guys. It's like, I'm not trying to stay in communication with them, having somebody run back and forth to the bench or texting anybody or anything like that. I trust them. And it's hard to be in the battle and looking over your shoulder trying to get orders all the time from somebody. You gotta go with your experience, your gut, your feel. And I trust our guys 100% to be able to do it. And they're going to make decisions and they're going to work or not work. And I'm fine with that.
So when you were watching the final 3.5 quarters on Friday night, did you notice a change in the officiating after you left?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. I thought the whistle had evened out a bit. I mean, we weren't getting much whistle at all before that. So yeah, I think there was a long way to go in the game. So I'm sure whether I was there or was not there would have probably corrected itself somehow. But the guys, like I said, did a really good job of staying aggressive, and that's what you got to do against a really aggressive defense.
Well, the foul on Edwards and that not being called, I don't know, man. Last 4 years, we've seen that 50 times. That one on Julius Randle with two guys, that's unbelievable. I can't say that I've ever seen a foul in the NBA with two people 10 to 15 feet away looking right at it. not blowing their whistles. I mean, when you talked to the investigator, did you get any clarity as to like why they didn't call it? Was it just a bad moment?
Well, unfortunately, in the process, you know, the incidents of the game that might trigger something are not discussed, so they're not really part of the equation. You're just expected to be able to handle those moments, and then, you know, gauge your conduct accordingly. So we don't talk about that. Like, that's not, you know, in my disciplinary process, that's not part of the equation. So that would be a whole separate conversation that you would have to have with refereeing operations and basketball operations, and then, you know, we've had those conversations countless times, but quite honestly, I find those equally frustrating. So
right. I wonder if Friday night and Saturday night with Adelman, I wonder if laying on the sword, so to speak, certainly for you Friday, maybe David a little bit on Saturday. Yeah, I wonder if that ruffled feathers behind the scenes. I mean, maybe there are wheels turning right now that you're not going to know about, but somebody jumps up with the refs and is like, look, this is getting ridiculous, guys. We have to improve with at least the basic calls. You think that happened?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we can only hope that. We know the referees the referee department is working hard to you know, get young guys trained up to find consistency. We understand that, and we also understand that we're in a bit of a transition period. We've had a lot of really experienced referees leave the game in the last couple of years. Pace of the game has never been higher. Right. Technology, replay, all this stuff puts even more of a emphasis and critical eye on what's being called and not called, and it's creating you know, a very tough environment to be an official. Quite honestly, I would never really want to be one, but we do have to get better at it. I think we got to make strides there in a hurry. You know, there was other instances in the week that preceded myself and David. Ime had made some comments post game. JB had made some comments. JB Biggerstaff had made some comments post game too. So, you know, we've got to do a better job of keeping our emotions in check. But, you know, sometimes in the middle of the season right now, like it you know, it gets hard. You know, that's what, you would see it a little bit in the NFL too. You know, generally you don't hear much complaining about NFL officiating, but we've heard more in the last 2 weeks than we've heard in a while. So it might be just the state of the modern sports landscape.
Right. I'm glad you said that too, because, like, you know, with the Whitecaps, the refs, you don't have much problem with them in the NFL. It's the ancillary officials, the side judges, the back judges, stuff like that. And, you know, I'm not so old school where I'm like, all right, you have to officiate games for 30 years in the MIAC and then 10 years in the Big Ten, and then maybe you get a crack to get into the NFL. But there are people that are jumping levels and getting into the NBA and the NFL before they're ready. And you know, maybe this is serendipity. Maybe this is a positive transpiring from a negative here, because it's clear that in both of those games, and those happen to be my two favorite games, that you know, some guys are overmatched. So we'll see where it goes from here. Hey, just a couple to close. Are you liking your defense of late? I mean, in 4 of the last 5 wins, I mean, the opponents have had to really work hard to get 100 points and can't cross 110.
Yeah, I am liking it. It's being driven by Rudy Gobert. He's playing at a defensive player of the year level. He is very active. He's just, you know, dominant on the glass. I like our perimeter defense right now. Our game plan execution has been on point. So yeah, I'm very much pleased with where our defense, and we've done a better job of rebounding. Like, at times that's been a struggle for us. And we've done a really good job, particularly in the second half and in fourth quarters.
What are you liking about Anthony's game of late? I mean, I watch all your games. I don't know Anthony, but he seems calm. He just seems like he's really calm right now.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think he's doing a good job of mixing in being aggressive, but, you know, sometimes, like when he would face a lot of, you know, double teaming or traffic or, you know, teams would say, hey, we're just not going to let you play this way that you want to play, he would kind of, he would still play the game. He would get his teammates involved, but he would maybe not have the same readiness and aggression to seize the moment when he goes. He'd be a little bit passive, but I think he's kind of leveled that out now, and he's really doing both.
I know you only can play the games they put in front of you, but Christmas night basketball in Denver. Are you a fan of playing on Christmas Day?
Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's such an honor in our game to play on Christmas Day, for one. The games just kind of have a different feel, different kind of a different vibe around them. And that the rest of the league is watching, and a lot of, the rest of the sports world is watching too. And dirty little secret is, PA, in our game, you're either traveling on Christmas Day or playing on Christmas Day, and I would rather be playing on Christmas Day than traveling on Christmas Day. So.
McDaniel's hip getting better?
I believe so, yeah. So I haven't gotten an update yet this morning on him, but yesterday when I spoke to him, he said it was already feeling much better. So.
Merry Christmas, brother. Greatly appreciate you.
Yeah, you too.
We'll talk next week. Go ahead.
Okay, take care. Thanks.
Yep, see you, bud. Thank you. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. That's all part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. This is 9 to Noon.
Every game is a big game when it's Wild Hockey. Feel the intensity and excitement at Grand Casino Arena this season. Get your tickets today, wild.com/tickets, wild.com/tickets.
5 wins for JJ. Take it away.
12 days of a Vikings Christmas. We do it every year. We love it. And here we go.
Merry Christmas, Vikings fans. It's 9 to Noon. I'm Paul Allen with Nordo. On the first day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me a pick for Byron Murphy Jr. On the second day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me 2 Isaiah Rodgers touchdowns and a pick for my guy, Byron Murphy Jr. On the third day of Christmas, our Vikings gave to us 3 different quarterbacks, just 2 TDs for Jets, and a pick for Byron Murphy Jr. Yes, sir. On the fourth day of Christmas, our Vikings gave to us 4 picks thrown by Brosmer. Give Beeflo 3 more years, 2 Isaiah Rodgers touchdowns, and a pick for Byron Murphy Jr. On the 5th day of Christmas, our Vikings gave to us 5 wins for JJ. 4 picks thrown by Max. Give Beeflo those 3 more years, just 2 TDs for Jets. Finally, an interception for Byron Murphy Jr.
Yes, sir.
On the 6th day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me 6 sacks from Jalen Redmond. 5 wins for JJ McCarthy. 4 TDs for Oliver. Give Beeflo 3 more years right now. 2 Isaiah Rodgers touchdowns and an interception for Byron Murphy Jr. On the 7th day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me 7 dubs for the Skull, 6 sacks for Redmond, 5 wins for JJ. Go, kid! 4 TDs for Jalen Naylor, 3 different quarterbacks, 2 Isaiah Rodgers touchdowns, and finally an interception for number 7, Byron Murphy Jr. On the 8th day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me 8 nasty losses, 7 dubs for the Skulls, 6 sacks for Redmond, 5 wins for JJ, 4 TDs for Naylor. Just go ahead and give Beeflo 3 years right now. Only 2 TDs for Jets. What about that interception for Byron Murphy Jr.?
Yes, sir.
On the 9th day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me Nine's foolish alter ego. 8 nasty losses. We only won 7 games. 6 sacks from Jalen Redmond. 5 dubs for JJ. 4 TDs for Oliver. 3 different quarterbacks. Only 2 TDs for Jets. And a pick for Byron Murphy Jr. On the 10th day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me 10 games with no Hundy for Justin. 9! 8 nasty losses. We only won 7 games so far. 6 sacks for Jalen Redmond. 5, take it away.
Wins for JJ.
JJ. 4 TDs for Jalen Naylor. 3 different quarterbacks, just 2 TDs for Jets. But that pick at Meadowlands for Byron Murphy Jr. On the 11th day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me 11 games from Thielen, 10 games with no Hundy for Justin, 9, 8 nasty losses, 7 dubs for the Skull, 6 sacks for 61, 5
wins for
JJ.
Let's go.
4 picks thrown by Max, 3 different quarterbacks, couple of Isaiah Rodgers touchdowns, and a big interception for Byron Murphy Jr. On the 12th day of Christmas, my Vikings gave to me 12 million O-line combos, 11 days in Europe, 10 games with no Hundy for Justin, 9's injuries are a problem, 8 nasty losses, 7 dubs for the Skull, 6 sacks for Jalen Redmond. Take it away.
5 wins for JJ.
Hey, JJ. 4 TDs for Oliver and Naylor, 3 different quarterbacks, 2 Isaiah Rodgers touchdowns, and finally, a pick for my guy, Byron Murphy Jr. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
On with that, Byron Murphy Jr. 5 wins for JJ. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, I was nearly in tears yesterday. 9!
9.
Oh, the alter ego and the whole bit.
9's foolish, alter ego. 8 nasty losses, 7 dubs for the Skull. It's fun doing that yearly. Thank you very much for listening to it. If you missed it, we'll play it back a little later. You're listening to 9 to Noon. That was our annual 12 days of a Vikings Christmas. And this year, it timed up to the team having 2 games to go in the season. So thus, hopefully, 2 TDs for Jets. Ends the season at like 3, 4, or 5 for Jets. 3 different quarterbacks. We can go and just stop right there.
Yeah.
3 different quarterbacks.
Please.
Nothing against Mr. Wolford, but
I wouldn't mind another pick for Byron Murphy Jr., by the way.
Yes.
And maybe a 6th or a 7th win for JJ.
Yes,
and we'd have to rethink the whole 5 thing. And
yes, sir.
maybe while we're at it,
9.
I don't want 13 million O-line combos by the end of this particular season, although
Right.
everything's so much in flux
Right.
at this time of the season for a 7-win team.
Covenant cleanup provided by nobody. OG Anunoby is not playing this evening. I knew Jalen Brunson wasn't playing this evening. I did not know OG Anunoby was not playing this evening. So thanks to Aaron Freeman with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Eric Nordquist with 9 to Noon Productions, and most importantly, thank you, Chris Finch, for just not daggering me right in the middle of a conversation where I'm just like setting up some questions before we get into what happened on Friday night. But
I was sitting here listening, and I'm thinking, I wonder how Finch is going to answer that because OG's out. And you know what he did? He pivoted just like any coach in a big spot. Circumstances change, and he sidesteps it, and he just, there's going to be a lot of different types of matchups and tests for Anthony Edwards tonight. They're very good, etc. Total class from the coach.
Now the Detroit Lions are next on the entertainment docket. It is some hot Christmas Day football action. 3:30 KFAN. And, what's going on with everybody here? We got media relations.
We got an audience.
I'm cold. Okay. I'm wearing this sport coat that I got from the Vikings. You start talking about them, then they leave and they close doors.
They get bashful.
Yeah. We're in the business where our names and opinions are on radio.
Yeah.
The behind the sceners don't want to hear the old Spearfish Sammy.
They prefer to stay behind the scenes.
And they don't want to hear the old Lewiston Al teaching lessons for decades, assumedly for profit.
Keepers of the intel, keepers of the coats.
It's cold in your building, okay? So that's why I'm wearing this weird coat. Okay, 3-2. God bless all of you. Sequacy at 10:35. Laying out the Lions. Laying out the Lions doesn't necessarily mean like, putting them on their backs. And Mama said, knock Jared Goff out. I'm going to knock Jared out. That'd be cool. Laying out the Lions goes like this. And it's off a text that Nordo sent me middle of the afternoon yesterday, just about, where these two teams were this time last year and week 18 last year. And I believe at near the end of the equation, I think we had 29 combined wins and 5 combined losses at the end of the equation.
Yeah.
So what's different? What's the same with them? Yeah, the Vikings and Lions had those gaudy ballyhooed records last year, and both got bounced in their first playoff games, and both got smashed in said playoff games. For the Vikings, it was the Rams down Arizona way, and for the Motor City Kitties, it was at Ford Field against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. So their Vox Dan Miller is next segment, about 15 minutes from now. And he'll probably go OG Anunoby on a couple of my takes here, being like, well, actually, Paul, we've thrown it 5 times to Dan Skipper in the last 3 games. But nevertheless, we talk about the Vikings so frequently that we are so immersed within this covenant that we know a lot of things that are going on and potentially need to be fixed in the offseason. But what about Doogie's? It's the Lions. What has dramatically changed with them to lead to that 8-7 record? The lowest of low-hanging fruit ever to hang would be their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, leaving and going to the Chicago Bears. Their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, has left. Oh, Tom West, thank you very much for that scarf. I'm cold, man, but I don't want to tell anybody around here I'm cold because then I got to take 19 different tests and everything. I'm just trying to get to Quasi. Hey. Okay. Thank you very much for the... Thank you, Tom.
Oh, they're
Tom
the
West.
best, man.
Don't leave home without him.
They are the best.
They are. They're very caring, very loving. The Aaron Glenn leaving, it matters, but there are some things popping up with the Lions that are analogous to last year.
Yeah.
But they were able to overcome them. And then they got some time off and they came back in the playoffs. And, the way I put it last year was the elasticity had been stretched too far. And the whole thing just popped with these injuries and everything. But consider this. The Detroit Lions were 7th in 4th down conversions last year. And they go for it on 4th down a lot of times. It's a Dan Campbell thing. After getting stopped on down Sunday against Pittsburgh, I think they're now 20th heading into week 16. So we've gone top 10 to bottom 12.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions allowed 230 rushing yards to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They only had 6 games last year where they gave up more than 100. And Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, and DJ Reader and Jack Campbell, their best run stoppers, they're all playing. They gave up 230 on the ground to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's not necessarily a run-first operation. This is one that gets me here in watching back some Lions stuff yesterday. They never run trick plays anymore. They were a trick a minute. They would run tricks in the first quarter of the 4th game to set up something in the 3rd or 4th quarter of the 15th game. They never run trick plays anymore. Branch and Joseph, probably the best safeties duo in the NFL. They're both out. I don't know if any of them are coming back this Thursday, but Branch and Joseph are out, so injuries again for these guys.
Terrion Arnold is on IR.
Yep, and he's on IR. Ben Johnson has the Bears, the story of the National Football League. So, that has to bug people there, too. With that win Saturday night, the Chicago Bears, if only for a week, are the story of the National Football League, man. They're going for a 1 seed in a division championship in the NFC. The Lions ran for 15 yards on Sunday. All right. And Gibbs and Montgomery played. Just listen to that. The Detroit Lions, in a football game, late in the season they had to have, ran for 15 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery both played the entire game. That's the lowest total for the Kitties since like 1970. Yeah. Laporta and Brock Wright, super important. Tight ends are very, very important to this offense, especially to Jared Goff, Sam Laporta and Brock Wright. They're both all done. It's over, Johnny. I think they're done for the year, but they ain't playing. New London Spicer's Shane Zylstra is now playing a ton, and he never has scored a touchdown. So remember when the Vikings beat the Lions at Ford Field earlier this season?
November 2nd.
The season signature victory was November 2nd. Sam Laporta had 66 yards and a 40-yard touchdown on the first drive of the game.
He did.
66 yards and a 40-yard touchdown on the first drive of the game. But then B-Flow went to flummoxing. Flores settled in, and Laporta had 30 yards and nothing the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Tight ends are very, very, very important to what is now Dan Campbell's offense. Goff is going to be sacked more this year than he was the last two with Ben Johnson. When the Vikings beat the Kitties at Ford Field very early November 2nd, Dan Campbell took the play calling after the game from Ben Johnson's replacement, John Morton. And Dan Campbell now calls offense. It's like B-Flow rolls in there and goes to flummoxing. And this is a new offensive coordinator on whom they're counting. Campbell got so pissed off, he took the play calling from him. And Dan, the man who's not on the fan, he calls the plays. Now, they can still score. All right, they can still run up and down the field on you, so be careful. But it ain't the same as last year.
No.
The Lions have lost 2 in a row. How about this? The Lions have lost 2 in a row during a season for the first time since 2022. That was the year Ben Johnson became their offensive coordinator. See a common thread here, y'all? So what about us? The only thing with us, the Brosmer sideline pass to Jefferson was big. If he gets his third start off the layoff, which would be, his opportunity off Seattle, then coming in second half and helping the win at MetLife, and then starting here, if he gets this opportunity third off the layoff, that pass to Jefferson was big. He should be better for the opportunity if he can handle things on a short week. We're still hoping J.J. McCarthy plays, but with the Detroit Lions, there are just some stark contrasts from last year to this year, and they're unveiling themselves before your very ears.
Yeah, I went over the final 8. So their last 8 games, that was their bye week when we went to Ford Field. They were fresh off the bye, ready to rock. They were 5-2. Vikings win. From that game on, final 8, they're averaging 29 points a game. So there are different things about the offense. You mentioned just the inability to run the ball. I think of their last 8, 4 of them, they've rushed for fewer than 74 yards. Very un-Kitties-like in the Dan Campbell era. But they're still finding their way to 30 points a game. I think they're averaging 29 over their last 8. So for me, my focus has been trying to figure out that O-line, Frank Ragnow, to the point where he was going to come out of retirement and then couldn't do it, and just Ratledge and what they're getting on that interior O-line. That's something they'll focus on. But just the elasticity that you mentioned, and it kind of popping as it did last year, it has happened again, and that's why I focus so much. You mentioned Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch being out, Terrion Arnold. The injuries have reared their ugly heads together. They're averaging 27 points against in their last 8 games, and I'm just going to go to the last 5. These are their yards allowed in their last 5 games. 517 to the Giants.
Jeez.
359 to the Packers.
517 to that Giants operation we saw without Scattaboo and Malik Neighbors.
That is correct.
Are you kidding me?
And it took overtime for them to beat the Giants. Then they lost to the Packers. They gave up 359 to Jordan Love's group. 417 to those Cowboys. 519 to the Rams. And 481 yesterday or 2 days ago now.
Yes, sir.
To the Steelers. The yards are there to be had. And I mean, look at just how weird it is. The way we talk in Minnesota. Hey, if Kevin O'Connell either ties or wins the turnover margin in a game, here's this super gaudy record. I think Alec Lewis has like a tally on a chalkboard in his apartment to make sure that he keeps track of the correct number. Look at they're winning the turnover battle. They were tied with the Giants and Packers. They were up 3 3-0 in the Cowboys. That was a win, but they won the turnover battle in both the Rams and Steelers games and still lose. So their defense is giving up 1 million yards. They are creating opportunity, but the defense in totality over the course of games isn't getting it done. The fourth down offense, them going away with no points and nothing off of some of those fourth down plays that they want to run, the lack of tricks. This truly is, and you feel for Lions fans. I mean, they're not too far removed from putting paper bags on their heads and going to these games, and then suddenly they think they might be on the verge of a Brady-led dynasty. And just a couple years into this, now it's like injury concerns. Do we want to pay these guys? Did we make the right investment? The O-line's in shambles. And just in very quick order, we go from two teams playing for the 1 seed to a year later celebrating Christmas with a couple of teams that are drowning. The Vikings have already been eliminated. The Kitties got to win both and hope that the Dirty Packers lose out just to get their way into a wild card.
Crazy.
One freaking year has flipped all of this on its head, really for both teams, as we're laying out the Lions, but of course we're in some ways lamenting our favorite squad in the process, and that's what we're looking at on a Christmas afternoon day.
This is 9 to noon.
Pittsburgh shows 5 across that defensive front. Goff's got it on fourth down. Back looking. Goff throwing middle. Caught. Leap. Right side. End zone. Touchdown Detroit Lions. Had a step on the defender and there was nobody between him and the end zone. 27 yards. The Lions are right back in this game.
Dan, the man who now is on the Fan. He's Dan Miller, long-time talented play-by-play voice for the Detroit Lions. And I'm also the sports director and talent at the Fox affiliate in the Motor City. And Dan, the man, joins us now. Dan Miller, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and your family, brother. How are things?
Hey, things are good, PA. Good to talk to you. Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners.
If I had texted you flying back from New Jersey or found a way to call you when we landed or something after that Pittsburgh debacle, would you have said, things are good, PA, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and sounded all jovial and everything? That end of that game, man, we played your highlight yesterday. What a tough play to call, A. But B, that whole thing just seemed like it worked on your last nerve.
Yeah, I didn't really. I thought the play was over when they had Amon-Ra stacked up, and I think half the Pittsburgh defense did too because most of them stopped playing, and the defenders that were on him kind of pushed him. So at that point, you're thinking it's kind of over. Then he flips it to Goff, and Goff dives in, and at that point, you really had no idea what was going on. And then there's 2 flags in the end zone, and you're hoping maybe one's against them and one's against us, but it appeared certainly there was OPI from the beginning. So it took a long time to unfold, and we were trying to guess during that time, and it was difficult, and you were just hoping there was some sliver of a chance that it might turn out that you'd get another crack at this thing, or that maybe it was against Pittsburgh, which appeared highly unlikely from the beginning. So it was really that whole sequence, the 4 plays, and you had 2 OPIs that wiped 2 touchdowns off the boards. And I think that was offensive pass interference on Amon-Ra. When they see you go into a defender, fully extend your arms, and that defender flies backwards, and in particular when that defender's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day in Ramsey, he's going to get that call. And no argument with that. The one on Tesla before that might have a little bit of difference on that, but look, that was the final minute of the game. There were 59 other minutes in that game where they didn't play well enough to win.
8-7 for the Lions. Vikings out of the playoffs. I mean, these two teams won a combined 29 games last year and lost 5. And, in starting the short week work on your team, it's injuries to key players again, man. I mean, it was a longer common thread last year, and you guys pushed through it beautifully. Laporta, Wright, the safeties, best safety tandem in the NFL. I mean, these things are big, man, aren't they?
It is. There's no doubt. And there's a lot to it. And certainly that's part of it. They went 7 games without points off of turnovers, which has really been right up until that Rams game, which has really been, the bread and butter for this team. The defense would take it away, and the offense, would be able to rush it down the field and score, and you're 2 scores up, and then you build on that, and that's the way they won games, and that disappeared. And some of that was certainly Kirby Joseph being gone. You could just feel some of the passes that hung in the air, the ones that he used to run under and steal. And then losing Brian Branch, who's the chess piece on that defense that Kelvin Shepard can use to move all over the place. And then offensively, Laporta's a big guy. I think one of the things that we all underestimated from the beginning was the loss of Frank Ragnow with his retirement and brief comeback. Man, that was so big. Just having that dude in the middle of that line before the snap, at the snap, after the snap, just meant so much to this defense. And I think that's taken away some of the identity of this team. This team has been built around that offensive line since the day they walked in the door and drafted Penei Sewell and added him to Decker and Ragnow and then everybody else that came along. And that identity hasn't been there. That ability to run the ball consistently hasn't been there. And it feels like an odd conversation, PA, because for most of the season they led the league in scoring, but it just has not felt that way often enough. And then defensively, man, their ability to stop the run, which has been top 5 in the league the last 2 years, has not been anywhere close to that, and that's really hurt them as well.
Well, that 230 against Pittsburgh, I mean, Gainwell and Warren can move a little bit. The quarterback never runs. That's a 230, man. And, like last year, it's I think only like 6 times teams went over 100 or 110 or something against you guys. But, the Ragnow piece probably answers this question. But when I was watching it flying back and then playing box score catch-up, Gibbs and Montgomery both played, and the Lions ran for 15 yards. Are you kidding me with that number? I thought I'd never see that.
And 17 was on one run. We had in the first half at least 3 guys coming off the edge untouched.
Wow.
4 tackles for loss in the running game. And there's just something missing there. And it's been missing for a while. And, we've had a couple of games where certainly Gibbs has been really good and Demo had a 151 earlier this year, but it just hasn't been as consistent as it has been in the past. And trace that back to the offensive line. And people will talk about coordinators and, nothing against Ben Johnson and nothing against Aaron Glenn. And we do miss them. They're really good football coaches. But I think this team misses Frank Ragnow more. I think they miss that presence in the middle of that line and in that running game. And again, I can't stress enough that, you can talk about Gibbs and Amon-Ra and Jared Goff and all those guys and everybody else. This team took its strength from that offensive line. Every time they walked on the field with those guys, they felt like whatever type of game you wanted to throw at them, they were going to be able to handle it. You want to go slow, you want to grind it out, they can do that. You want to have a track meet, they can do that. But it was because of that offensive line. And right now, it's just not the same. Decker's been banged up a lot of the year, playing hurt, hasn't practiced some weeks, and then goes out on Sunday and plays. And, losing Zeitler last year, that was significant as well. I mean, he held down one of those guard spots. Now we're, playing Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge, 2 guys who had virtually no experience. One was a rookie and one was basically a rookie coming into this year. So, look, it's just these are things that happen along the way. I still think this team has a lot of talent. They're just going to have to regroup in this off season, assuming a miracle doesn't happen here in the next couple of weeks and figure some things out. But much like you guys, there's a ton of talent here. You're just going to have to shore some things up and figure some things out. And I don't see either of these teams, beginning this long descent into a rebuild or something like that. I see these teams with problems that have cropped up. You got to deal with in the offseason, and you're going to come back next year, and I think you're going to be scary again.
Dan, the Vikings haven't given up a passing touchdown in 6 consecutive games. And, okay, Jackson Dart was a disaster when we saw him. And you got Jaden Daniels off a dislocated elbow with Marcus Mariota. But you also have Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, and there was another high-ender, Dak Prescott. So, I mean, how flabbergasted would you be if the Lions left Christmas Day's game with no passing touchdowns against a team that hasn't given up one in a month and a half?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that, but that's no disrespect to Minnesota. It's just, also a lot of respect for the Lions and their ability to pass the ball. And again, even as we sit here today, they're the second highest scoring team in the league. So we've been putting points up. Now, that said, what we did against the Vikings in that first game doesn't give you a lot of confidence. What they did against that defense in the 4 times they faced it when Flores was the coordinator before that did give you confidence. They scored at least 30 each time, and they won all 4 of those games. But last time out, they didn't handle the pressure. They didn't adjust during the game, and Minnesota just kind of had their way with them, and they bullied them. And the Lions are going to have to be a lot better than that in this game, or passing touchdown or not, it's going to be difficult to win. They've got to be significantly better. That first game, Dan Campbell said it earlier this week, was probably the worst game that the Lions have played this year. And that's saying something about the way the Lions played, and it's saying a lot about the way the Vikings played, because they came in to Ford Field and just ran right over them on defense. And I mean, literally, how many times did Jahmyr Gibbs just get trucked by a linebacker blitzing, and that was putting him in a tough spot all day. And I'd be shocked if they put him in that spot again coming up this week, because it was a mismatch, and it's not conducive to him lasting a long time on game day if you have that many collisions.
So that November 2nd, Dan, last one here, Vikings win at Ford Field, which hasn't happened a lot of late. And Dan Campbell, the head coach, becomes the offensive play caller, taking it from new guy John Morton. Why did he do that at that time, and how has it worked out?
It's just been an inconsistent offense all year, and the results have been mixed. They went into Washington the week after that, I believe, was the next game, and Washington was terrible, and they were just, beginning a crash landing this year, and we threw up whatever it was, 52 points or something like that, or 44 or whatever it was, and had a big game. But since then, it's been spotty, and again, it's not like they're not scoring, but we see droughts we haven't seen before. The Rams game, we played really well in the first half. We're up 24-17. First 3 possessions of the second half, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And Stafford's doing what he does on the other side, and all of a sudden you go from being 10 up at one point to 10 down. So it's just been productive overall, but too inconsistent to beat the better teams in this league. And then you're playing catch up, and maybe you're scoring points, but if you're scoring points and you're 2 scores down, it kind of defeats the purpose. So it's been a strange year, man. And it just kind of, you are where you are. You got to finish it strong. There's still a chance to get in the playoffs. You got a ton of pride to play for, and there's still a lot of talent. Now I see both these teams. You guys have won 3 in a row, and that's great, and that shows a lot of character and a lot of fight when a lot of your season had been a disappointment. So we need to apply that same type of attitude to coming off that Pittsburgh loss, which basically decimated your playoff hopes. But you got 2 games left against division opponents. Go out and win them, finish this thing strong, and then figure out what comes next.
God bless you and your family, and I'll see you Thursday. All right, thanks for the time.
Appreciate you, brother. Same to you and yours.
See ya. That's Dan Miller, Vox for the Lions, back after this.